Good day, everyone. I am Christian Galasan, one of the reporter from the group number 2. Today, we are going to tackle about the group B, which is the residentials, hotels, and apartment, and group H, which is the assembly other than group I. From the implementing rules and regulations of the National Building Code of the Philippines, Rule number 7, classifications and general requirements of all the buildings by use of occupancy. First, we have the Group B, residentials, hotels, and apartment. Group B occupancies shall be multiple dwellings unit including boarding or lodging houses, hotels, apartment buildings, row houses, convents, monasteries, and other similar building, each of which accommodates more than 10 persons. Next, we have the type of residential buildings. We have individual houses or private dwellings, lodging or rooming houses, dormitories, apartments, and hotels. Before we proceed to the use of Group B, first let us identify the residential groups. We have R1, residential transient. Residential occupancies where the occupants are primarily transient in nature, including but not limited to the following: boarding houses, hotels, and motels. Next, we have the R2, or the residential non-transient. Residential occupancies where the occupants are primarily permanent in nature, including but not limited to the following: apartment houses, boarding houses, convents, dormitories, fraternities, sororities, hotels, work units, and monasteries. Next, we have R3, residential permanent. Residential occupancies where the occupants are primarily permanent in nature and not classified as group R1, R2, R4, or I, including but not limited to the following: adult care facilities, child care facilities, congregate living facilities, duplex dwelling unit, and single family dwelling units. And lastly, we have R4, residential care or assisted living facility. Residential occupancies where the occupants are primarily permanent in nature and are arranged for more than 5 but not more than 16 persons, excluding staff who reside on a 24-hour basis in supervised environment and receive custodial care. The person receiving care are capable of self-preservation. This group shall include but not limited to the following: alcohol and drug centers, assisted living facilities, congregate care facilities, group homes, halfway houses, residential board, and custodial care facility. Now, let's proceed to the use of Group B. General classifications of use or characters of occupancies of the building or structure. We have the Division B1. Next, the principle of Division B1. First, we have all uses in Division A1 is the residential building or structure for exclusive use of single-family occupants, and A2, which is the residential building for the exclusive use of non-leasing occupants not exceeding 10 persons. Number 2. List single detached dwelling unit, cottage with more than one independent unit, and duplexes. Number 3. Boarding and lodging houses. Next, the accessories of the Division B1. Number 1. All customary accessories uses allowed in Division A1 and A2 or for R1 class and R2 class building structures. Number 2. Branch, library, and museum. Number 3. Homelet. Number 4. Vocational school. Next, we have the condition of the Division B1. All condition uses in R1 and R2 with appropriate regulations. And lastly, the zoning classifications of the Division B1. Residential R3, a high-density residentialist or occupancy characterized mainly as a low-rise or the medium-rise building or structure for exclusive use as multiple family dwelling with mixed housing types. R3 structures may include low-rise or medium-rise residential. So that we conclude that the Group B residential building or structure, hotels, and apartments are the building in which sleeping accommodation is provided by the normal residential purposes with or without cooking or dining, or both facilities are grouped as residential buildings. Next, let's proceed to the allowable maximum total gross floor area of Group B. Generally, the gross floor area is the sum of the floor areas of the spaces within the building. As you can see in the tables of allowable maximum total gross floor area or TGFA based on the allowable percentage of site occupancies of the total lot area under the Group B, the character of use or occupancy is the commercial B. And the type of the building or structure is commercial. Commercial buildings. They are the buildings which are used exclusively for commercial use, including warehouse, bank, gas stations, automobile companies, etc. Under the allowable maximum total gross floor area or TGFA by type or locations of land. Note that the building height limit multiplied by the allowable maximum building's footprint expressed as the percentage of the total lot area with or without firewall. Figure subject to reductions to comply with the floor area components of the allowable maximum volumes of the building refers to the tables to arrive at the percentage of TLA. Every types of buildings or structures including the commercials has and dimensions of interior lot and end lot, inside lot, corner lot, through lot, corner lot abutting three or more streets, and etc. The reason why do we have this is to prevent overbuildings and to maximize natural light and ventilations in designated public and private open space. Next, let's proceed to the determination of the building height. Building height limits the maximum height to be allowed for building or structures based on their proposed use or occupancy. The building height limits is generally determined after the applications of other development controls and certain other parameter considerations of site condition, view, etc. Showing in the presentations is the tables of building height limits by type of use or occupancy under the group B. The character of use or occupancies are residential and commercial. So the types of buildings are residentials and commercials, and they have building height limits, the numbers of allowable story of floor above established grades and the meters above highest grade. Next, we have the minimum required of off-street, on-site parking slot, parking area and loading or unloading space requirements by allowed use or occupancy. Under the group B, note that the parking slot requirements shall be an integral part of building or structures, and any parking slots provided outside the building or structures will be quantified only as buffer parking. And lastly, we have the other necessary requirements. Requirements for other group occupancies. Subject to the provisions of the code, the Secretary shall promulgate rules and regulations for each of other group occupancies covering allowable construction, height and area, locations on property, exit facilities, light and ventilations, sanitation, enclosures of verticals opening, fire extinguishers, systems, and special hazards.
Good day everyone, I am Kate Sanico Faraon and I am tasked to discuss one of the 10 group occupancies, which is the Group H, any building other than Group I. The contents of my topic is divided into three major parts. First is the definition, second is the building H or Group H building examples, and third is the standards of Group H building, which specifically include 5 parts. The 3.1 is the use, which includes the principal, accessories, and conditional. The second, or 3.2, is the maximum allowable TGFA, or total gross floor area. And the third is the building height limit. And the fourth, or 3.4, is the minimum required of street or RRW, and the fifth is the other necessary requirements. So let us define what is Group H first. It is with or without stage that has an occupant load of less than 1,000 in the building, and any assembly building that or those that are not stated in Group I. Second is the Group H building examples, which is divided into 4 divisions. Division 1 is with stage having occupant loads of less than 1,000 in the building, and the Division 2 is without stage having a 300 or more occupant loads in the building, and the Division 3 is without stage having an occupant loads of less than 300 in the building. And in Division 4 is neither stated or neither included in the Group I nor in Division 1, 2, and 3 of this group. Remember that the subgroupings or division within is determined by the Secretary and it's based on the life and fire hazards. In addition, in the Section 702 of the 2004 Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations of the Presidential Decree 1096 published by the Department of Public Works and Highways, the changes in use, the idea is this: no change shall be made in the character of occupancy of a building that would change or it would place it in a different division of the same group of occupancies or in different group of occupancies. However, if the building will comply to the requirements of such division, it can change or it may change its character of occupancies, then the building can be occupied for its new proposed use given that it is subject to approved by the building officials. However, it should be under the consideration of life and fire risk and should be less hazardous than its existing use. Let's go to the third part, which is the standards of Group H buildings. First, our 3.1 is the use, which includes the principals, accessories, and conditional. Three point two, the allowable maximum TGFA or total gross floor area. In Section 705 of the 2004 Revised Implementing Rules and Regulation of the Presidential Decree 1096 published by the Department of Public Works and Highways, as you can see in the table, that each of a percentage of the TLA or total lot area can be used to initially determine the allowable TGFA of a proposed building or structure. Three point three, building height limit. Building height limit. It is the maximum allowed height limit of the building based on its use or occupancy. In Section 707, the maximum height limit. Maximum height limit should be dependent based on its occupancy or characteristic or character of occupancy and its construction. And there are characteristics that we should consider in determining the height of the building: the soil characteristics, the hydrological condition, the meteorological condition, the environmental effects to the buildings or structure and vice versa, the traffic effect to the building or structure or vice versa, and the availability and capacity of public utility or service, and the applicable safety and maintenance system. As you can see in the table, the use or occupancy of Group H is parks, open recreational and entertainment spaces, and the building height limit is 15 meters. 3.4, minimum required off-street. RROW is your road right of way. Engineer Push 2020. Three point five, other necessary requirements includes determining building bulk. So as you can see in the reference table, the FLAR or the floor to lot area ratio, in Group H, the use or occupancy includes parks and open recreational areas and has a FLAR designation or rights 0.5 to 1. That's all. Thank you.